So what's the last stretch from President Trump threatening on WHO?
We can say that the drama between President Trump and the WHO is not over because the president actually threatened to stop all the funding to this organization if the WHO does not commit to major substantive improvements in the next 30 days. So that is the last stretch here for the WHO here. So previously, President Trump has already suspended the funding in April, but this time he has threatened to stop all the fundings permanently to the WHO. President Trump has actually sent a letter to the WHO Director General, which says, "It is clear the repeated missteps by you and your organization in responding to the pandemic have been extremely costly for the world. The only way forward for the World Health Organization is if it can actually demonstrate independence from China. My administration has already started discussions with you on how to reform the organization, but action is needed quickly. We do not have time to waste." So we can see here, based on the letter sent to the WHO, the president continues to blame the WHO for being too China-centric based on their response to COVID-19, which is not any different from his remarks a month ago.
But why WHO has been target of his criticism on COVID-19? He blamed everything on WHO.
We can say that President Trump has blamed everyone who is more on the Chinese side because President Trump has always blamed China because of the widespread, and WHO has been working closely with China when the outbreak started. So the WHO probably became the target during this time. So there are many claims in the letter which backed up President Trump's claim that WHO is China's puppet. So based on the letter which he posted on his Twitter, there are many claims. For example, the WHO has always ignored credible reports of the virus spreading in Wuhan, which has been dated back since the outbreak started back in December last year. And he also said in the letter that the WHO failed to independently investigate reports that conflicted directly with the Chinese government. The WHO made a number of inaccurate and misleading claims about COVID-19 and saying things like he overpraised China for its transparency. And another one is that the WHO overpraised China for their strict domestic travel restrictions, but went against Trump's idea to close the US borders. So these are the claims listed in that letter to the WHO.
Kun Thepchai, so it's another highlight of the extreme difference between the US and China that we see a lot from President Trump, and this time it's via WHO.
And certainly the suspension of the funding for WHO and the threat to totally stop all the funding will come as a big blow to the World Health Organization as it trying to mobilize all available resources to fight the pandemic. And of course, if you listen to the critics of the US president, it's quite clear that everything he's doing right now, including his finger pointing at WHO and China, is only part of his talking points. I mean, to further his political goals in regards to the election in November this year. So his eyes on that very important political event for him. So, and certainly, and with the numbers of deaths, number of infections due to coronavirus in the US, the situation certainly reflects very badly on him. So the only thing that he thinks he can do now is to try to deflect all the blame from himself, and put the blame on others, China, and who obviously are the most obvious targets for him.
Yeah, what's the reaction from WHO over President Trump threatening to cut off the fund?
For the most recent case here, there's no response from the WHO yet. But President Trump has always been critical against the WHO for being too reliant on China. Previously, the WHO used to respond to President Trump saying that he should stop politicizing COVID-19 because politicizing the virus will definitely increase the number of deaths. So we will have to wait and see the recent response by the Director General, how he would respond to President Trump and the U.S. in the way that he would stop funding the WHO for good.
And remember that the U.S. has also been putting pressure on China for an investigation into charges that the virus originated in the lab in Wuhan, right? And President Xi Jinping of China, through his video call to the Geneva meeting of the WHO, agreed that that this kind of investigation should be conducted, but not now. It should wait until this pandemic is over, or that when the world can really work together to put this behind it, and then any investigation into these charges can be launched.
Yeah,
definitely. But in other news, President Trump took an unproven drug to ward off COVID-19. And the drug is called hydroxychloroquine, which is commonly used to treat malaria. And he actually claimed that many of the doctors and frontline workers are actually taking this drug as well. At the moment, there's no evidence that this drug can really fight the coronavirus. And doctors have already warned that this drug may cause side effects like heart problems as well.
So that's the latest development. It's quite controversial if President Trump is really using that drug to try to fight COVID-19.